Today, we'll explore 11 enigmatic beings in the Bible that go beyond the well-known angels and demons. Here is the list of these fascinating entities: Seraphim, Cherubim, Nephilim, Leviathan, Behemoth, the four living creatures, the angel of the abyss, Abaddon or Apollyon, Rephaim, the Watchers, the Prince of Persia, and the heavenly woman clothed with the sun. First, Seraphim. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings, with twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. Isaiah chapter 6 verse 2. The seraphim appear in the vision of the prophet Isaiah as fiery beings who are constantly worshipping God. Their 6 wings are significant: 2 cover their faces, symbolizing reverence for God's holiness, 2 cover their feet, representing humility, and 2 are used for flying, signifying their readiness to serve. These beings are considered to be among the highest order of angels, signifying God's burning glory and purity. The seraphim emphasize the transcendence of God, highlighting the overwhelming holiness that mere mortals can barely comprehend. Second, Cherubim. And he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims, and a flaming sword which turned every way, to keep the way of the tree of life. Genesis chapter 3 verse 24. The cherubim first appear guarding the entrance to the Garden of Eden after Adam and Eve are expelled. This role as protectors is seen throughout the Bible, including in the design of the Ark of the Covenant, where golden cherubim are depicted on its cover, symbolizing God's presence and glory. Unlike popular culture's depiction of cherubs as harmless, winged babies, biblical cherubim are mighty beings often associated with God's power and judgment. Their presence emphasizes God's holiness, righteousness, and the boundary between the divine and the sinful. Third, Nephilim. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Genesis chapter 6 verse 4. The Nephilim are among the most mysterious beings in the Bible. They are described as giants born from the union of the sons of God and human women. Some scholars believe the sons of God may refer to fallen angels or divine beings, leading to these hybrid offspring. The Nephilim's existence signals a time of great moral corruption before the flood, representing humanity's intersection with the divine realm. Their presence in the scriptures raises questions about God's boundaries for creation and the consequences of crossing those limits. Fourth, Leviathan. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook? Or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Job chapter 41 verse 1. Leviathan is depicted as a mighty sea monster, embodying chaos, strength, and untamed power. The book of Job provides a vivid description of Leviathan as a creature beyond human control, reinforcing the idea that only God can tame or defeat such a beast. Leviathan is also symbolic of evil and chaos in various parts of the Bible, such as in Psalms and Isaiah, where its defeat represents God's ultimate victory over darkness and disorder. The very mention of Leviathan serves as a reminder of God's dominion over all creation, even the most chaotic and uncontrollable forces. Fifth, Behemoth. Behold now Behemoth, which I made with thee, he eateth grass as an ox. Job chapter 40 verse 15. The behemoth is described as a colossal land creature that feeds on grass, yet its sheer power and presence set it apart from ordinary animals. It is believed to symbolize stability and strength, representing the enduring elements of God's creation. While its exact identity is debated, some suggest it could be a large herbivore like a hippopotamus or an extinct species. The behemoth represents the magnificence and variety of God's creations. It challenges Job, and by extension, all humanity, to recognize the grandeur and mystery of God's handiwork. 6th, the 4 living creatures. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. Revelation chapter 4 verse 7. These 4 living creatures are described in John's vision in Revelation, each with a unique appearance. One resembles a lion, another a calf, one has a human face, and the last looks like a flying eagle. These creatures are often seen as symbols of different aspects of God's nature and His creation. The lion represents strength and courage, the calf symbolizes sacrifice and service, the human face indicates intelligence and reason, and the eagle symbolizes swiftness and vision. They surround God's throne and constantly declare His holiness, showing that all of creation is called to worship and reflect God's glory. 7th, the angel of the abyss, Abaddon or Apollyon. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Revelation chapter 9 verse 11. Abaddon, also known as Apollyon, is described as the angel of the bottomless pit. His name translates to destroyer, symbolizing divine judgment and destruction. He leads a swarm of demonic locusts during the end times, representing chaos and punishment for the unrepentant. The mention of Abaddon serves as a stark reminder of God's justice and the reality of spiritual warfare, where not all spiritual beings are benevolent. 8th, Rephaim. In the valley of Rephaim. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 18. The Rephaim are often associated with giants or spirits of the dead. In the Old Testament, they are linked to ancient giants inhabiting the Promised Land before the Israelites' conquest. Some references also suggest that they dwell in the underworld, symbolizing a connection between the physical and spiritual realms. The Rephaim highlight the ancient Israelites' battles not only against physical enemies but also against spiritual and unseen forces. 9th, the Watchers. This matter is by the decree of the Watchers, and the demand by the word of the Holy Ones. Daniel chapter 4 verse 17. The Watchers are mysterious beings mentioned in the book of Daniel, particularly in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. They appear as divine beings responsible for observing and executing God's judgments on earth. The Watchers remind us that divine oversight governs human affairs, emphasizing God's active role in guiding, correcting, and judging nations and individuals. 10th, the Prince of Persia. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, but, lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me. Daniel chapter 10 verse 13. The Prince of Persia is a spiritual being who resists the angelic messenger sent to Daniel. This reference reveals that spiritual forces can influence earthly kingdoms and events. It also demonstrates that there are spiritual battles happening beyond human perception, with both angelic and demonic beings playing roles in the unfolding of God's plans. 11th, the heavenly woman clothed with the sun. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Revelation chapter 12 verse 1. The heavenly woman, seen in Revelation, represents God's people, often identified as Israel or the Church. Her being clothed with the sun symbolizes divine favor, while the moon under her feet suggests dominion. The 12 stars on her crown could symbolize the 12 tribes of Israel or the apostles. Her portrayal in the midst of a cosmic battle highlights the struggles and ultimate triumph of God's people against evil forces. The Bible offers a profound view of the spiritual world, filled with mysterious and powerful beings. These 11 entities reveal the vastness of God's creation and the complexity of the spiritual realm. Exploring these beings helps us better understand the unseen world and the overarching narrative of God's plan for humanity. Thank you for joining today's journey into the Bible's hidden mysteries. If you found this video enlightening, please like, share, and subscribe to San Lively Social for more biblical insights. See you in the next episode.